Am I the asshole for not following an old tradition regarding the name of my son? My family has a lot of traditions that come from generations ago, like dishes we eat certain days, or gift a boutique to every woman in their birthdays, etc. All those traditions are based on a couple from generations ago. I have a great relationship with my dad. He has always been very attentive and supportive to me, not that his tradition would have let him do otherwise anyway. My fiancé and I are going to be parents soon, and my parents are very hyped about it. They already gifted me some stuff for the baby and all. The drama started yesterday when my dad asked me to talk on private. He said he was proud of me, that I was going to be a good father, and all that stuff. Then he said he was going to be there for whatever I, my fiancé and little Timothy V needed. Timothy is my name, as well as my dad's. One of the old traditions is that the first son inherits the name of his father, who inherited the name of his father, and so on. The same happens with the first daughter of each generation, but it's another name of course. The thing is, my fiancé and I already decided a name for our son and it'll be Aiden, not Timothy. Neither of us likes the name, so that's out of the options. I corrected my dad and he seemed surprised at first, but then said it was a cute name and that what he said stayed the same anyway. This morning I got a call from my mom asking me why I didn't want to continue the family tradition, and that I made my dad cry. I told her that although I feel bad for my dad, I wasn't going to change the name my fiancé and I picked. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I'm a firm believer in all children deserving their own name regardless of family traditions. Your kid, your choice. NTA. Only is your mom. It sounds like your dad didn't try to sway your decision and let his emotions out in privacy. Way to go, dad, respecting boundaries. No assholes here. Your dad took it well. He didn't do anything. Your mom just called and asked about it. If they pressure you about it, they'd be the asshole, but they haven't. Nah. Honestly, it sounds like your dad did everything right here by asking. Accepting the name is not what you want, and silently getting emotional about the end of a long tradition of his. It's just not his choice. Everyone seems fine here. Not the asshole. Traditions are just peer pressure from dead people. Not the asshole. Your baby, and your fiancé's choice. If you wanted to, you could always consider using it as a middle name, but since you both don't like it, you do you. All the best and congrats on Aiden. Love that name, BTW. Not the asshole. Traditions are fine and all, but this is and your partner's kid, so you get to pick the name. I also bristle a bit at this, because in my family there was a lot of emphasis on certain traditions and inheritance going to oldest son, and certain family names, and a distinct disdain for lower classes, and all sorts of bullshit. I'd love to see your parents and extended family to just be happy if you have a healthy baby and they get to be part of his life. His name should be irrelevant. Unless you named him, Goebbels' Dahmer step-dad name, tears of joy. NTA, I'm native and it's tradition to give, two, names to your child, an English name and a traditional name. I prefer my native name even though it isn't technically documented. My brother prefers his English name. If I have a child, I probably would do two names because I like having a legal name and then a special name for me and family, but my brother only named his children one name. Nobody really cared as we all live off the reserve now, but even if we were still there, I don't think many would get too upset. It's your family and you get to make your own traditions now. Your father is still going to be a grandfather, he is still going to have a grandson. What does it matter what the baby's name is as long as he is healthy, happy, and loved? Am I the asshole for letting our daughter stay home from a vacation to Disney World? As parents, we just want to do our best for our kids, especially when it comes to admitting wrongs. My wife and I are the lucky parents of two girls, Sarah, 17F, and Anna, 13F, and a boy, Tyler, 8M. We managed to save enough money to go to Disney World for a week. Sarah is currently in the teenager phase of acting like a soldier being sent out to war whenever she has to go out with the family, and she refused to go to Disney World on the basis of it being a stupid place and not wanting to be away from her friends. My wife and I tried everything, talking to her, showing her pictures of all the fun places. We told her it would be fun and that we wanted her to go, but Sarah refused and eventually we agreed to let her stay at her aunt's house. The week passed, we came back. Anna showed Sarah a couple of pictures and now Sarah is incredibly angry at her mother and I. She feels betrayed and angry that we let her miss out on a vacation and valuable family time and is angry we didn't fight harder to make her go. LMAO, not the asshole. Looks like Sarah learned a harsh life lesson. You respected her wishes, she doesn't get to be angry with you. Not the asshole considering she is a teenage girl. You could probably use this as a great example of consent and how no means no. She said, no, so it would have been inappropriate of you to push, coerce, fight, or force her into going. Not the asshole. I wonder if Sarah thought she was going to get to stay home and party in an empty house, then got shuttled to aunt's house instead. Not the asshole. She got what she wanted. She needs to learn to live with her decision and not blame others. Wait until she sees how behaving like that will rest her in the adult world. Don't write checks your ass will regret cashing. Woman shrugging. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She thought she'd be unsupervised in an empty house, so her vacation wasn't the good time she had planned, and now she's pissed off that she missed out on your fun too. Not the asshole. Tough titties Sarah. Not the asshole. You let her make a choice. She regretted it. Now she can learn from it. Am I the asshole for kicking out my sister completely from my house when my nephew broke my son's things? Finding out about my son James was a huge surprise for me 8 months ago. He's 6 and I'm 28, still adjusting to it. My sister lives with me BTW. She's been here over a year because the pandemic pretty much ruined her business. My sister couldn't afford the rent anymore for her store. Her and my nephew, AJ, 9, moved to my place. Right now she's working but not enough hours to earn her own place. Now it doesn't really bother me that they're living with me. Sometimes AJ can be a lot though. She has a bad habit of spoiling him too much due to his dad not being around. After finding out about James and having him over more often, AJ has hated he's not the only child in the house anymore. 3 months ago my son's grandma, who's his legal guardian, had to undergo surgery. She's still recuperating, so it's going to take some time for her to do more physically. In the meantime James came to live with me. He's already gone through enough in his life and I just want to make the process easier on him so he feels comfortable with me as his dad. My place is a 3-bedroom, so before it was each in their own individual rooms, but I told my sister to move AJ's things with her. Of course my nephew had a fit. And she was mad because he's lived there longer than James. I normally don't play my house my rules, but for my son I did. She's still pretty bitter about it. AJ doesn't tolerate James around at all. He's mean to him for no reason. One time at breakfast he pushed James because he wanted to sit where he was sitting. I have had talks with AJ to get him to understand, also with my sister to get her kid under control. Because for one, James's grandma and I are working out a custody arrangement, so him living here was always going to happen regardless of her condition, which meant he'd always get his own room. My sister doesn't do much because she says it's my fault for bringing James in, knowing that this would devastate AJ. On Tuesday AJ came to James's room and room everything out. His clothes from the drawers, broke some of his toys, and the one that upset him the most is he broke his lava lamp my son loves. His mom bought it for him a few years and uses it as a nightlight. I was just so mad for my son because he was crying. It made me react badly on my sister, for not stopping it in the first place, but she says she was in the garage. Straight up just told her AJ can't be here anymore and they need to get out since she obviously can't parent him to control himself. My sister pleaded with me to because they don't have anywhere to go. We're cut off from family. But I still told them they had to go. They left the next morning. Right now she says they have to stay on a friend's couch. She won't stop telling me how awful it is, that I threw them out. Now they're struggling even more. I wanted to help them but nothing was being done about AJ and it just made me snap. Am I the asshole? AJ is 9 years old, which means he's old enough for his mom to have conversations with him about his behavior. Not the asshole. You're not the asshole, and it's pretty obvious. Your sister seems to think she owned the house you all were living in. AJ was there longer? Bringing your child to live with you would upset AJ? What a weird thing to say. The world does not revolve around her and her child. Especially when staying in someone else's home. So she's allowed to have a child around but you cannot. In your house. Your sister has issues and needs to be taught how to parent. Your son being subjected to bullying and abuse is not okay. Giving your sister a chance to discipline her child before kicking them out for real would have been fair, but I don't blame you for your reaction. Not the asshole. Your sister had the opportunity to fix things early on. I bet she did nothing to squash AJ's resentment or bad behavior. It sucks they are couch surfing now, but you need to choose your son over everyone else. He needs you and he needs to be and feel safe in his home, otherwise he will need a lot of therapy when he gets older. Not the asshole. Your sister should have been respectful of the fact that you have a son now. She's taken advantage of your hospitality and raised an entitled kid. I'm not judging her, I'm sure everything has been tough, but I wouldn't let her stick around either. You helped and she took and took. Your house, your rules. In my opinion, you're all good. NTA. Your son comes before your sister and nephew. You did good by kicking them out, should have done it sooner if it were hurting your son that much. She hasn't disciplined her son, she can deal with the consequences. Don't let them back in. Not the asshole. If your sister doesn't want to be kicked out of the house, then she can parent her own kid, but it's too late for that now. She tried to blame you for bringing James in knowing that it would upset AJ. AJ is not the center of the universe and they both need to understand that. Not the asshole. She has had 2 years to sort herself out and find a living arrangement. She knew your son would be coming to live with you in the future. Her lack of parenting and general disregard for your son is concerning. Not the asshole. What her son did is beyond normal. I don't like this behavior. He needs therapy. And with you trying to talk with your sister to manage it better and she did nothing and blamed you for it. This is the consequences of her inaction. Am I the asshole for telling my coworker the real reason why no one wants to go to her place? Throwaway account. So I, 27F, I'm a teacher at a high school. The department I'm in likes to stay close and social with each other, so we do these potluck hangouts sometimes. My place has been dubbed the fun house, as everyone likes the old school games I have as it gives them a sense of nostalgia, and me and my boyfriend's cooking is great. I have this coworker, let's call her Pam, who desperately wants to host one but always gets shot down. I asked another teacher why and they told me her place stinks, literally. I didn't believe it till I went there to pick up my game system. It's a very foul, strong, and noticeable smell, but Pam seems to not notice it. Not too long ago we had a February break and all the teachers decided it would be nice for another get-together. Pam offered her place again, but the teachers said they would prefer my house. Pam protested for a bit, then finally agreed. On the day of the get-together, while me and my boyfriend were cleaning, Pam comes hours early and later on begins to study my cleaning methods. Pam then makes a comment on how I clean with too many products. I shrug it off and said that's how my mom taught me to clean. She then goes on this rant about how being overly clean is not a good thing and tries to label what I'm doing as a disorder. I then ask her about her cleaning habits. Pam tells me that she doesn't use any products, just a rag and hot water. She doesn't change out trash bags unless they show signs of tear and doesn't mop. Just sweeps. Me and my boyfriend exchanged looks, but didn't say anything. At this time the get-together starts and everything is going fine till Pam starts to tell everyone about how I clean and tries to make a joke of it. Everyone awkwardly laughs, but she just keeps going with this bad joke. Annoyed, I then tell her that maybe she should use me as a model on how to clean her house. She asks me what do I mean by that. I held my tongue until she starts complaining about why no one wants to come to her place, especially since her place is a nice condo, and mine is just a small house on the odd side of town. I then tell her the truth, saying that her place smells awful. She thought I was making a cruel joke and laughed, till she noticed how everyone was silent. This sent her into a rage and she calls everyone fake and calls me an asshole for making up such a crazy lie about the smell of her place before storming off. Pam has stopped talking to all of us and even skips out on our Monday meetings. I tried talking to her in private, but she just curses me out. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut like the others. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. But Pam's house smells like one. Not the asshole. She sat there and criticized your normal cleaning habits. It's a two-way street. She's more than likely just embarrassed for not realizing that she's dirty. Not the asshole. She walked right into that one. Although the kinder thing would have been that another teacher at the school would have brought up this issue in private after Pam repeatedly tried to host events. She was being rude, has a dangerous mentality about her own cleanliness, but was it necessary to call her out in front of everyone else? I might have changed the subject, because Pam was making an ass out of herself and I am guessing that no one else felt that her criticisms of you were valid. Instead, you said the quiet part out loud and humiliated her. When you socialize with the same people you work with, sometimes, you read the room and realize that no good will come from putting her down. She may also have some very odd issue in that she can't smell things very well. Or perhaps she was brought up that way, which would be even more damning to her. Not the asshole. If Pam didn't want to get called out in front of the group, she should have kept her mouth quiet during the gathering instead of trying to mock you for being too clean. Not the asshole. She kept pushing and made digs at how you do things. If she can't take it, don't dish it. Not the asshole. Sometimes you need a little bit of bleach or a lot of truth. Apparently, this lady needs both. Her behavior could have been better dealt with if it was that triggering, and you, collective, you and your colleagues, still have to work together. Sure, she's an idiot, but that's humiliating. Sometimes silence or a convo to the side, especially when someone's publicly acting out, works wonders. Y'all are teachers, right? What would you advise if this were a group of your students in that situation? Edit. I'm actually kind of chuckling at how much I've gotten downvoted on my additional replies in this thread. I'm speaking from a very logical, calm place because I have seen shit like this go down before in my life. And I know I retrospect that I could have done more to help mitigate things. It's tough to know that there's going to be additional fallout, too.